All right, so what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, man. And the Commanders apparently have some actual interest in signing edge rusher Von Miller out of free agency after the draft. We just talked, I think, was that yesterday or a couple of days ago, about how Lance Newmark and Adam Peters spoke on the fact that they are potentially looking at some veteran edge rushers. Now we have a name. Now we have a specific guy to look at. And of course, we got to dive into the fact that he's 36 years old. Does he have anything left in the tank? Does he make Washington an immediate, strong Super Bowl contender? I'm going to explain why I think he could. Stats, I watched some film as well. I'm going to show you some all-22 clips, all of that. But before we get into everything, of course, I do have a fun fact for you at the end of this video. This is the May 1st edition, so stay tuned for that. And make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. I promise y'all, I'm going to break down all of the undrafted free agents again, even if I have to just put a bunch of them in one pile in one video just to run through them. You're going to hear me talk about and say the name of every single undrafted free agent and guy that we added to rookie minicamp. I definitely want to get to that before rookie minicamp starts, which is like it's the second week of May. What is it, May 8th and 9th? I also am still working on my overall draft review and grade, and I can't wait to give that to y'all. I'm mostly done with that. I want to do a breakdown of like where everybody feels like we did in the draft, like all of the top experts, what grades that they give us. I have so many videos loaded up, and I want to get to film sessions for the draft prospects that are going to be exclusive to channel members only. And without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so this all started when at 10:59 p.m. yesterday, and it's crazy I did not see this until this morning, but Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites tweeted the Redskins have interest in Von Miller. That's all he said. He didn't expound upon it. He didn't give any sources or anything like that. But the reason I feel like, again, I'm not exactly sure what his source is. I don't know how trustworthy he is as a source, but it makes sense. It adds up because Assistant General Manager Lance Newmark immediately after the draft shared that Washington has monitored the edge group throughout the draft cycle. He even went on to say that they already talked to some veteran free agent edge rushers even before the draft, and that basically affected their draft strategy and allowed them to feel like they didn't have to reach for an edge rusher because when in doubt, we can sign an old and productive one after the draft if we do not get one during the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if they are actually talking to guys like Von Miller and Zadarius Smith, showing some interest, going back and forth with calls and everything like that. Yeah, I know, like I just said, I'm not sure if Chad Forbes may necessarily be the most trustworthy source out there, but the logic behind all of this definitely adds up. So I believe him when he says the Commanders have shown real interest in signing Von Miller because I think they should. We need pass rushers bad. That was our biggest need going into the draft, and I love our draft class, don't get me wrong, but we didn't even look at the position this past week. Like, even just beyond the draft, we didn't even bring in undrafted free agent edge rushers. Like, even guys after the draft that you can sign, invite to rookie mini camps, we didn't even bring like a super talent at that position even yet. So like, there must be some veteran edge rusher on the way very soon that they have their eyes on. It's probably just a contract negotiation thing at this point, I'm thinking. I'm pretty sure the interest is there, maybe even from both sides. Maybe we're just trying to get the numbers right. I wouldn't be surprised by the time I'm done recording and editing this video and getting it out to y'all, Von Miller has signed to the Commanders notification. Now I gotta do a whole nother video. I might as well just go ahead and scrap this one. I would not be surprised at all. I mean, this literally follows the whole kicker position life cycle that we've had this offseason. Like, we knew going into the draft we really needed a kicker, just like edge rusher. And not only did we not draft one, we also didn't bring in any undrafted free agent kickers either, just like edge rusher. So just like how we're talking and feeling about edge rushers right now today, that was literally the same way we felt about the kicker position just a couple of days ago. And then what did we do? Go and get a veteran free agent to solve the position hole that we had in a kicker in Matt Gay. So maybe edge rusher is just the 3 days later version of kicker. I mean, we needed it before the draft, didn't address it at all during or after the draft, then go sign a veteran at the same position that's available. Probably going to end up following the exact same cycle and process that kicker did, not going to lie. And of course, I'm going to talk a lot about why we should sign him, but don't get me wrong. You know me, man. I'm always going to look at it from every angle. So we're also going to take some time. The first half of the video is why we should sign him. The second half of the video is why we shouldn't. So don't think I'm just going to sit here and praise him all day long. I'm going to look at the negatives. We're going to address the negatives. And then by the end, I'm going to have my conclusion and basically weigh on in whether we should sign him or not. But let's start with why we should. What's all of the positives? Well, first of all, he was better than most people realized last year, even at 35 years old. I don't know if y'all have seen this stat, but the players with the most sacks last year that played under 400 snaps last season, you had Aiden Hutchinson at 7.5, Azeez Ojulari and Von Miller tied for second at 6. Out of all edge rushers or even just players in general that play less than 400 snaps, those are the guys with the most snaps out of that group of people. And then even just Pro Football Focus grade wise, and we're going to talk about it, I'm even show you some all-22, so don't think I'm relying on Pro Football Focus. I watched the tape from last year. I like it, and I agree with where Pro Football Focus has them graded and ranked among all edge rushers. So, but I just wanted to acknowledge where they have them, and then I'm going to break down why I agree. So his overall grade last year was an 82.4. That's 15th out of all edge rushers in the NFL. And his pass rush grade was an 83.0. 11th out of all edge rushers. Now, sadly, his run defense grade was a 90th out of all edge rushers with a 62.3, so that's not necessarily good, but we would be bringing him here to be a situational pass rusher. We didn't bring back Cleveland Farrell. We didn't sign Dietrich Wise and all of these edge rushers. Javon Kinlaw, who's going to go back and forth between defensive tackle and edge rusher. All of it. We didn't increase our run stopping ability mightily this offseason, especially through free agency, for no reason. And I feel like Von Miller could come in here and just focus solely on being a situational pass rusher on obvious passing downs, third downs, fourth downs, third and long, fourth and longs, whatever. And again, he had an 83 pass rush grade, which ranked 11th out of all edge rushers. And just to go back to his overall grade, even though they say he was 15th, when you actually go take a look at their overall grades and how they're ranked, they said he technically had an 85.5, which actually had him ranked 11th out of all edge rushers, only behind Aiden Hutchinson 1, then Myles Garrett, then TJ Watt, then Nick Bosa, then Khalil Mack, then Micah Parsons, Jared Verse, Alex Highsmith, Will Anderson, and then Trey Hendrickson, and then you get to Von Miller. Von Miller was graded higher than Danielle Hunter, Isaiah McGeary, I hope that's how you pronounce that name, from the Cleveland Browns. I'm not very familiar with him. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to y'all. But he's graded above him. Also, Josh Allen of the Jaguars, Gregory Rousseau, Jonathan Grenard, Nick Herbig, Carl Granderson, Brandon Graham, Brian Burns, Nick Bettino. And just to go through some of the more famous names, Max Crosby, Rashawn Gary, my Georgia dog, Nolan Smith, Zadarius Smith, another guy that's out there available as a free agent, Latu, who had a really good rookie season. Adafe Owe, pretty good season as well. Jadeveon Clowney, Harold Landry, who I wanted at the trade deadline and even as an undrafted free agent. Josh Sweat, who balled out in the Super Bowl. Chop Robinson, who had a pretty exciting rookie year as well. Arden Key, Kayvon Thibodeau, just to name a few. And even my Georgia dog, Travon Walker, who I believe had double-digit sacks last year. Von Miller was graded higher than all of those names that I just read to you. And when it comes to pass rush specifically, he goes from 11th out of all edge rushers to 10th in pass rush grade according to their ranking systems. And again, in the quick film study that I just watched of him right before I started recording this video, and from what I saw from him last year, it checks out. He's still good at getting after the quarterback at the very least. He ranked 11th, which was higher than, specifically pass rush wise, not overall grade, pass rush specifically, he was graded higher than Josh Allen, Brian Burns, Danielle Hunter, Jonathan Grenard, Khalil Mack, who I really wanted in free agency, Chop Robinson, Will Anderson, Gregory Rousseau, R. Dorrance Armstrong, Nick Bettino, Zadarius Smith, Keon White, Kyle Van Noy, just to name a few, man. Latu, Kayvon Thibodeau again, Max Crosby. He had a higher pass rush grade than even Max Crosby, my guy Nolan Smith, Montez Sweat, who left us, just to be petty, Josh Sweat, who a lot of people were fighting over in free agency, all of that type of stuff, man. So Von Miller, if you're asking, does he have anything left in the tank? Even at 36 years old, based off of what I saw last year, I would say yes. And also, maybe you can get him for cheap, but I don't know that for sure at all. I have no idea what the going rate is on him. And again, if there is serious interest from the Commanders into Von Miller, which again, forget the source, I just feel like it makes so much sense. So I feel like there is. The only reason he's not signed yet is because we have to be talking numbers, but I don't know. And I don't know if it's because Joey Bosa is cheaper or something, even though he technically isn't, because we're about to dive into that. But the Bills letting Von Miller walk so that they can get Joey Bosa is crazy to me. I definitely prefer Von Miller between the two. I know they cut Von Miller to save $8 million in cap space, and they were open to bringing him back even after cutting them. They just wanted to save some quick dollars and hopefully sign them to less than that. So I'm assuming they cut him to save $8 million, but wanted to bring him back. They wanted to sign him back for less than the $8 million that they saved. But then they turned around and gave $12.6 million to Joey Bosa. So maybe Von Miller was asking for way more than the $8 million that they saved to cut him. I don't know, but I'm still very confused by that move. Going from Von Miller to Joey Bosa, especially in 2025, man, and really any year, I would argue, except for maybe a couple of years ago where Von Miller was hurt and Joey Bosa actually played maybe a little bit more games. But in general, choosing Joey Bosa over Von Miller, I don't like that. If I'm a Bills fan, I do not like that at all. And then shouts out to Anton Borzov, because he provided a lot of these All-22 clips that I'm showing you right now. And you can't tell me watching these that this is not a guy that still has it. But even with these All-22 clips, and shouts out to, again, Anton Borzov for these, @_truth_. He also tweeted, with these clips, if Von Miller calls it a career, he will have gone out with a bang, because if 2024 is any indication on the field, he clearly has more left in the tank. Another year removed from his ACL tear, Miller was back in top form last season, so a lot of people feel like the tear that he suffered a few years ago, he's been still slow. I mean, he's older, so it's taking him longer to recover, and a lot of people feel like, including this Anton guy, that 2024 is like probably the first time he's been like fully recovered from it. It probably took him a couple of years, and he looked like a guy that's finally done being bothered by a previous ACL tear from a couple of years prior. Miller was back in top form last season, an elite third down pass rusher. He finished with the 5th highest win rate in true pass blocking sets at 26.4%. So we can talk about the Pro Football Focus grades, we can talk about whatever, but when it comes to the advanced stats, what did you actually do? There's no debate. We could debate grades and all of that type of stuff. That's subjective. But that advanced stat is completely objective. There's no argument against it, man. A 26.4% true pass blocking win rate as an edge rusher is actually really insane. 5th out of the entire NFL, only behind Aiden Hutchinson, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, and Jared Verse. So you can argue, forget all of the Pro Football Focus stats I just talked to you about and showed you. Just off of that alone, you could argue that just this past season at 35 years old, Von Miller was the 5th best pass rusher in the entire NFL still. He only has 6 sacks and 4 quarterback hits and 30 pressures, but that was still ridiculous considering that he was 80th among all edge rushers in pass rushing snaps at only 249, seeing just 322 throughout the regular season in the playoffs. He's still one of the best wide 9 outside linebackers. Miller could be the missing piece for a playoff or Super Bowl contender in 2025. I agree. And you can see in these clips, you're seeing his ghost rush, his speed bull, and his spin move still in full display at 35 years old. Again, this guy was 80th among edge rushers and pass rushing snaps, and to still be able to get 6 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, and 30 pressures is still pretty remarkable. Again, when it comes to beating the tackle in front of you, he was 5th out of the entire NFL last year out of all pass rushers. That's actually really insane. And then shouts out to @KBDC Sports. I agree. He said this was all of Von Miller's sacks from last year. He showed like a whole highlight tape, but these aren't all 22. So if you want to go check that out, it's like the actual NFL copy that we watch on a live broadcast of Von Miller, all of his sacks that he got last year. He also pointed out the fact that all of them came on 3rd and 4th downs. He's been a situational pass rusher for the last 2 years, and I think he may have lost a step after the injuries, but he can definitely still help a defense. And again, if 2024 is any indication of what he could be in 2025, sign me up any day, man. Shouts out to @Washington Today. I agree with him as well. He said Von Miller in the Dante Fowler role would be perfect. I completely agree. Situational pass rusher will be a massive upgrade, especially over what we have currently, but even over Dante Fowler, I would agree. And then, of course, he also said I prefer trading for Trey Hendrickson, but just not sure if that's in the cards. And we're already low on draft capital next season, so it doesn't really make much sense. I would love Trey Hendrickson happen, but that's just in a perfect world that we can get him for some ridiculous draft pick that makes no sense, something beyond a first or a second rounder. So I highly doubt it happens. And we don't even have a second rounder. We have a first, I think a third. We don't have a fourth, and I think we have a fifth, sixth, or seventh or something. I think that's what our draft is looking like for next year after the Laramie Tunsil trade. So really the only thing you could potentially give up that the Bengals would even consider is that first. And yeah, man, I think we could just settle on Von Miller this year, and then we'll figure out edge rusher potentially in the first round of the next draft or something like that. But shouts out to @Saint-Wah. He said Washington Commanders should make that call to Von Miller. He's amazing off the field. I agree. I think that's important. He's a great teacher of the game. We're going to super dive into that a little bit later. I really want to dive into that. And in the field, still has great get off, hand usage, pass rush moves, and still getting to the quarterback. Ertz and Wagner are proof age ain't nothing but a number. Now let's talk about that first, because what this coaching staff was able to get out of both of those old veterans last year is nothing short of remarkable. Maybe we should give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to these aging veteran free agents, because somehow they took an injury prone. That was the label on him when we signed him. A lot of people were laughing at us like, why would you sign an injury-prone Zach Ertz? I kept hearing that a lot. So we took an injury-prone Zach Ertz, a 34-year-old Bobby Wagner, who consistently has led the NFL in tackles, so he has a lot of mileage on his body, and we somehow got 20 straight games out of both of them last year. So whatever this coaching staff and training staff is doing, it's working. They got like the fountain of youth somewhere back there, or they got that halftime Space Jam water that Bugs Bunny was handing out or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it's working. And it could never hurt to have Von Miller helping our younger edge rushers with the nuances and advanced stuff of the game as well, man. The on-the-field coach, but the one that's actually productive. Again, like Bobby Wagner last year, Zach Ertz last year, not like Thomas Davis that we brought over from Carolina that was literally only an on-the-field coach. It never really played well, barely even played at all. But just like how we have Bobby Wagner and Louisville to teach our younger linebackers, Terry to teach our younger receivers, Austin Eckler to teach the younger running backs, and Zach Ertz to teach our younger tight ends, we have a great system of multi-layered development on this team. We already have elite positional coaches, elite top coaches as well, and multi-Pro Bowl veterans at their different respective positions as well to take guys under their wing. Von Miller can literally be that for our biggest need on the team, and I also wouldn't be surprised if he does that and goes out there and gets us 8 sacks this season, but in a way less snaps than Dante Fowler. Yes, Dante Fowler had more overall sacks last year than Von Miller, but again, Von Miller played way less. I think Von Miller's more efficient. If Von Miller played the same amount of snaps as Dante Fowler, I wouldn't be surprised if Von Miller had more sacks than Dante Fowler had last year. So I also wouldn't be surprised if we signed Von Miller here and then he just super balled out for us, man, because coming here with all of the free agents we brought in, the team that we assembled, all of these run stoppers at defensive tackle and the edge rusher position, he literally would only have to come here and worry about getting after the quarterback. And a Von Miller that doesn't have to second guess stopping the run or getting after the quarterback, you're purely here just to get after the quarterback, is the most dangerous version of a Von Miller you're going to get at 36 years old. And just to go back to him being able to take guys under his wing, I mean, you got to remember, this guy played 14 seasons. How about 186 games? He's had 129.5 sacks in his career, 171 tackles for losses. How about 27 forced fumbles? How about 9 fumble recoveries, 2 touchdowns, 24 passes defense, and 2 interceptions? This guy can even get back in coverage real quick. 8-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, 2011 Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl 50 MVP, which hurts my feelings because I was really rooting for Cam Newton to get that one, you know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Westlake High School and all of that. And he's on the all-decade team, man. I mean, that could be a better coach for our players than our actual coaches. I mean, who knows how to rush the passer more than Von Miller? I love Ryan Kerrigan. I love our defensive lines coach. I love our entire defensive staff. But, I mean, maybe Von Miller's body is not able to allow him to do it as well anymore. But as far as nuance and technique, and even things like diet, nutrition, and exercise, and even film study, who's better to take Javonte Jean-Baptiste, Dorrance Armstrong, and these other younger edge rushers on this team under his wing than Von Miller? Who better out there? I love Zadarius Smith, but he ain't been there, done that to the level of a Von Miller. And I would even argue that even though Zadarius Smith had more sacks with 9 than Von Miller last year, Again, Von Miller was more efficient. If Von Miller had the same amount of snaps as a Zadarius Smith, or like I just said, a Dante Fowler, he probably has more sacks than both of those guys. He was used purely as a situational pass rusher, and when he was out there, he made it worth it. Again, the 5th highest pass rush win rate against the offensive blockers in front of him out of the entire NFL. That's insane. Zadarius Smith and even Dante Fowler were not anywhere near the top 5. Now, let's mention why not, because I just gave you a lot of reasons why we should sign him. It all sounds great and dandy and everything like that, but why have we not signed him yet? Why was this not just automatic? We should sign him months ago. Well, naturally, he is a declining player compared to when he was in his prime, but that's obvious with him now being 69 years old, but still, this is something we need to point out. Because you got to remember, back in 2020, he had a serious injury, and he actually came back and balled out for the Rams and the Denver Broncos that year, and then he still had a really good year in 2022 as well. Then he had an off year in 2023. That was the one where it was like, okay, maybe Von Miller's washed up. I put him in the washed up category. I didn't even pay much attention to him in 2024, but then after, just like a week ago, I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It's not looking like we're going to end up with an edge rusher. And then especially after we didn't get one in the draft, nor an undrafted free agent. And before I started recording this video, I was like, all right, let me really dive into this guy's tape. And then he actually looked really good in 2024. I mean, he had the highest grade he's had in a couple of years in 2024. They even felt like he was better in 2024, Pro Football Focus grade-wise, than he was in even 2019 when he was still with the Denver Broncos before any of his major injuries. I mean, and again, when you're looking at efficiency, he doesn't have the box stats, but when you're looking at efficiency, he balled out. But now, granted, this guy hasn't had a double-digit sack season since 2018. And granted, when he did, 2018, he had 14.5, which is ridiculous. And since then, he had 8 in 2019. Again, he missed the 2020 season. He had 4.5 2021, then 5, then 8, and then again, 2023, he was bad. I think he played in 12 games or something like that and still had no sacks. But then in 2024, he bounced back and looked more like his slightly older self, further back in time self with 6 sacks. And again, on a very limited basis of snaps, he still found a way to get 6. I know I'm supposed to be talking about the negatives, but hey, there's an excuse there. I feel like he's definitely maybe not found the fountain of youth, but I think you could expect to get more 2024 version of him in 2025 than 2023 version of him. And also, this is just my personal thing. This, not necessarily Von Miller's fault, but I just feel like there's no way anybody was out there saying no to Khalil Mack in free agency, but saying yes to Von Miller. Unless it's purely about the money and you want Von Miller more than Khalil Mack just simply because Khalil Mack will probably be twice as expensive. Hypothetically, I'm not even sure if that's true, but I have no idea how much Von Miller may be asking for from any team, let alone the Commanders. And also, how durable is Von Miller at this point? But I definitely wanted Khalil Mack more than I wanted Von Miller, but that doesn't necessarily mean I don't want Von Miller, especially now that Khalil Mack re-signed with the Chargers. Give me Von Miller, but still at the same time, Von Miller durability questions, they're there. Again, 2020 missed the entire season, but then he bounced back in 2021 and played and started in every game possible, I believe, or at least 15 of them. But then in the 2022 season, those were the injuries, like the random nagging injuries where he has to miss a couple of games here and there, started to settle in. So he only played in 12 games in 2022. 11 games in 2022, 12 games in 2023, and 13 games in 2024. And again, that's crazy that he played in 12 games in 2023 and had no sacks, no tackles for losses. I don't know what that version of him was, but I'm very happy to see that in 2024, he bounced back in a big way, and again played in more games. Ever since 2022, he had 11 games, then the next year 12, the next year 13. Maybe we can assume, just based on that trajectory, he can give us 14 this next year. But I do want to make sure I point out the fact that this is not a guy you're going to depend on to play every game this season. But then again, this is the same team that got 20 games each out of both Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner last year. Zach Ertz was just considered injury prone up until this past season for the Commanders. In his last 2 years with Arizona before signing with us, he only played in half of the available games, 17 out of 34. And then he comes here and plays in 20 straight, more in one season with us than he did the last 2 seasons with the Cardinals. So maybe Von Miller can do the same thing here, especially since he'd probably be brought here as a situational pass rusher, like to directly replace Dante Fowler's role, but maybe even plays even less than Fowler did last year, because now we're loaded at edge rusher with a bunch of solid guys, not a bunch of game changers, but solid solid guys. No game changes, but at least it's not last year where we had hurt Cleveland Farrell. You never knew if he was going to play. Then you had Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler having to play almost every defensive snap. They're more pass rush guys, but we had them out there on even obvious run stopping situations because we had nobody else. Now you bring in Javon Kinlaw, you bring in Dietrich Wise, you bring in all of these edge rushers that know how to stop the run. Von Miller, just come here, focus solely on getting after the quarterback, and that's it. And now another potential negative is that maybe they signed Jacob Martin from the Bears to be their true situational pass rusher, and maybe they're lowballing Von Miller right now because they're like, well, you got KD, but we got Jaden McDaniels. I mean, that's just something I'm throwing out there. I feel like we could still, I feel like you could easily tell that they do not feel that way with how many edge rushers, specifically really good pass rushers, they met with throughout the draft process. So I feel like they even know, even after signing Dietrich Wise and Jacob Martin this offseason, and even at Javon Kinlaw, you could throw in there as well because I think he's going to flip-flop back and forth between tackle and edge. They still feel like they need a designated pass rusher. With all of the interest they showed in Donovan Ezeraku and Kyle Kennard and those guys, they clearly, just based off of the guys they were specifically, the type of edge rushers they were looking at throughout the draft process, Von Miller fits what they're looking for. So now in conclusion, I feel like the positives do far outweigh the negatives. You got to have the negatives in the back of your mind, but I'm not going to lie. 2 weeks ago, I didn't like the idea of signing Von Miller, but now after I've watched some real tape on his 2024 season, again, right before I started even recording this, I could easily see him being a better version of the 2024 Dante Fowler that we got. A situational pass rusher that gets after the quarterback on 3rd and 4th downs when we need it the very most. And Jaden Daniels with more possessions is deadly, man. Von Miller is obviously not the long-term solution, but he would definitely improve our chances of winning a Super Bowl this year. I would tell you that, even if he only plays in like 12 to 14 games. And also, while you're at it, go ahead and get me safety Justin Simmons to start at safety for us as well, alongside Quan Martin. So Will Harris, who we signed in free agency, is more of like a rotational piece type of guy that comes in every now and then when we need an extra defensive back on the field or whatever. But go ahead and get me Von Miller and sign me up for Justin Simmons while you're at it, and let's go win a Super Bowl, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get a notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video, man. And if you made it this far, man, salute to you. Really appreciate y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. And as promised, you made it this far in the video, I have a fun fact for you. On this date, May 1st, in 1910, okay, so finally we're diving into some really interesting trivia here, not these consistent 2022 stats. Cliff Battles was born in Akron, Ohio with 3,511 yards. Battles was the NFL's all-time leading rusher after the last of his 6 seasons in Washington, including Boston, in 37. Battles, who died at 70 and 81, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 68. Shouts out to that elite ball knowledge right there, man. Shouts out to Cliff Battles, man. A real Redskin legend, man. And again, of course, let me know how y'all feel about everything discussed in this video, man. How do you feel about Von Miller? Do you want to bring him in? Do you have a certain price where it's like, okay, I'll take Von Miller, I like him, but only for this much money or less? Let me know how y'all feel about his positives, his negatives. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of my points. I really appreciate y'all. Again, make sure you leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.